In the military, nicknames are earned. They're forged in fire. You hear things like senior tigers or mighty tigers, and each one tells a story of combat. But there's one battalion whose nickname tells a completely different kind of story. I'm talking about the 5th East Bengal Regiment, known as the Victory Tigers. And their victory wasn't about a battle won on the field, but about the long, hard journey just to get home.
So that brings up a really interesting question, right? What really defines a victory? Is it that one big, decisive battle? Or could it be something else, something more about endurance, about the struggle to simply make it back home? Keep that question in your back pocket as we dive into this.
Okay, so to really get the story of the Victory Tigers, we've got to rewind. Let's go back to the very beginning, to the conflict that made them who they are. So, the 5th East Bengal Regiment, the 5th EBR for short, was officially stood up on April 1st, 1965. The idea was to get more Bengali representation in the Pakistan Army. But man, they had no time to settle in. Almost immediately, they were thrown right into the fire, deployed to the Sialkot sector to fight in the Indo-Pakistani War. Talk about a trial by fire. And we're not talking about just any skirmish. The 5th EBR found itself smack in the middle of the Battle of Chawinda. And get this. This was the largest tank battle the world had seen since World War II. These brand new Bengali soldiers, as an infantry unit, earned some serious praise for their courage and for just holding their ground under massive artillery fire. They proved right away that they were tough as nails. All right, now fast forward 6 years to 1971. This is where everything changes. This is the most crucial and honestly the most complicated part of their entire story. So in March of 71, the Bangladesh Liberation War kicks off. All across what was then East Pakistan, Bengali battalions in the Pakistan Army, the 1st, the 2nd, the 4th, you name it, they all revolted. They became the heart and soul of the Mukti Bahini, the freedom fighters striving for an independent Bangladesh. But what about the 5th EBR? Well, here's the twist. They weren't in East Pakistan. When the war broke out, they were stationed deep inside West Pakistan. And that one simple fact of geography put them in a totally impossible situation and sent their story down a completely different, much more painful path. Now, here's where the history gets a little murky and really interesting. If you look at the records, there are kind of two different stories. Some accounts say the 5th EBR fought in Jamalpur with other freedom fighters, but more detailed sources tell a very different tale. That because they were in West Pakistan, the entire battalion was disarmed and its soldiers were put into internment camps. And this contradiction is really the key to their whole identity. So let's stick with that internment story, because it's the one with more detailed evidence. Just try to imagine their position for a second. Your people are fighting for their freedom, but you're a soldier in the very army they're fighting against. Overnight, because you're Bengali, you're the enemy. You're disarmed, and you're shipped off to camps. You're a soldier with no weapons, no war to fight, just stranded hundreds and hundreds of miles from home. But even in that totally desperate situation, their spirit was far from broken. This quote just says it all. There's this incredible story from that time called The Great Escape. A Subadar named Samad Khan actually led his entire company in a crazy, daring defection, escaping from West Pakistan and crossing into India to join the fight. I mean, can you imagine the courage that took? It was an almost impossible feat. So the war officially ends in December 1971. Bangladesh is a free, independent nation. But for the men of the 5th EBR, their struggle was far from over. Their own personal victory was still years away. After the war, these soldiers got a new official status. They were known as repatriates. Now, this is a really important term. It basically means they were waiting, as part of a formal diplomatic agreement, to be sent back to their new home country, Bangladesh. Think about this for a minute. Your country has won its freedom, but you're still being held in camps in the very nation it just fought a war against. It wasn't until late 1973, even into 1974, under something called the Delhi Agreement, that they were finally able to go home and set foot in the free Bangladesh they had only dreamed of. And this, right here, this is the heart of it all. This is where their famous nickname, Victory Tigers, comes from. It wasn't for a battle they fought in 71, it was for this. Their victory was a victory of endurance. It was a triumph of surviving internment, of keeping faith, and of finally making that long journey home. That was their victory. So, as you can imagine, this completely unique origin story shaped the battalion's identity. It created this powerful legacy of resilience that is still alive and well today. Just take a look at this table. You see the nicknames for the other battalions, right? Senior Tigers, Junior Tigers, Baby Tigers. They mostly have to do with when they were formed. But then you get to the 5th, and it's Victory Tigers. It just stands apart. It doesn't tell you about their age. It tells you about their incredible journey of survival. And today, that amazing legacy of resilience is carried on by about 850 active duty soldiers. They are the living embodiment of that original story of endurance and, eventually, triumph. And make no mistake, they are a formidable modern force. They live by their motto, grace, strength, speed, and they're a huge part of Bangladesh's national defense. On top of that, they've served with real distinction in UN peacekeeping missions all over the globe. We're talking Sierra Leone, Sudan, Mali. They've become a symbol of what's known as the Bangladesh model of peacekeeping, and they bring a lot of pride to their country. So the story of the Victory Tigers really makes you think, doesn't it? It shows us that victory isn't always loud and explosive. It's not always about raising a flag over a captured objective. Sometimes victory is quiet. It's resilience. It's just the sheer strength to endure and to make it home. Which makes you wonder, what other hidden stories of quiet, powerful victory are out there, just waiting to be told?